Good morning, friends. In the last lecture, we have seen few topics like intention lock, compatibility with the intention lock modes, then multiple granularity with intention locks, and then timestamp based protocol. And then we have started the deadlock. So let me ask some few questions. Okay, everyone, give me the answer. What type of locks we have? You can either unmute your mic or you can type in a chat. Types of lock. I asked all of you what types of locks we have, that you need to give me the answer either through chat or through mic. I got the three answer. Out of 43 students, I got only three answer. That is the very bad thing for you. Okay, most of you have tested the only two types of lock, exclusive and shared lock. What about others? What about other types of lock? Is there any other type of lock? Recall the previous session in that we have simply, guys, if you do not know, then don't paste a Google answer. Already we have seen, and I told that topic name in this session also, intention lock, and that variant types of intention lock. So this is the answer: shared lock, exclusive lock, an addition of this S and X lock, intention shared lock, intention exclusive lock, and shared and intention exclusive mode. That is IS, IX, AS, SIX, and X. This is the notations. After that, we have seen the timestamp based protocol in that W timestamp and R timestamp. Uh, can anyone tell me what do you mean by W timestamp and R timestamp of Q? W stamp it means largest timestamp for write operation, and R timestamp it means largest timestamp for read operation. According to that, we can compare it with the transaction T1 timestamp. Now, most important topic we have started, that is the deadlock, and I would like to ask one question. That is, what do you mean by the deadlock? Either you can give your answer either through chat or by mic. What do you mean by deadlock? At least you should give the answer. When I ask if you have any query and question, at that time also you are not replying. Only few students are replying no sir, no sir. And when I ask the question at that time, also you are repeating the same thing. Okay, this is the bad situation for you. If you do not give the answer of short question, then how it is possible to give the answer of a long question like 7 or 8 marks? Suppose if we have a offline exam, then how it is possible? You do not have any writing practice. Okay, for that, based on this situation and all this thing, I have uploaded the 3 assignment: assignment 1, assignment 2, and assignment 3, which covers the IMP topics, and you need to submit that assignment on a Google Classroom. How? For example, in assignment 1, it has a 5 question, so you need to write that question in on any page, either it is the lined page or a blank page or whatever with you. Page ઉપર લખવાના, scan it and make the PDF and upload that PDF on a Google Classroom. For the writing purpose, we are doing this activity. We should ready for the if there is a final exam in a offline mode, then we should be ready for the question and answer. For that purpose, writing purpose, writing practice, you should write the 3 assignments and before end of this semester. This much time you have before end of this semester you need to submit. Only one student gave the answer. How it is? તમને સીધી ભાષામાં ખબર પડે જ્યારે ક્વેશ્ચન આન્સર પૂછે ને તો એના આન્સર દેવાના હોય. I'm not talking about Dhruvin only. We have a 48 students. Out of 48 students, we can consider the 3 answer only, because Dhruvin has a first lecture, then Ronak and Umesh gave the answer. What about others? See guys, I am again telling you that if there is a written exam in offline, then it will be difficult for you. એટલે મગજમાં તમને એવું હોય કે MCQ એક્ઝામ મિડ 1 MCQ થઈ, મિડ 2 તમારી MCQ છે, તો મે બી ફાઇનલ એક્ઝામ MCQ હોય. We don't know, even I don't know. So we should be ready for that. So writing practice જરૂરી છે, એટલા માટે અસાઇનમેન્ટ આપ્યા છે, પણ એના કરતા પહેલા વેરી બેઝિક સ્ટેપ you should know this thing. I'm not expecting these answers from you, because you are copying and pasting from the Google. If signal unable to change its state due to loss of signal, that system is called a deadlock. Whatever we have learned, that you should give as an answer. Okay. So deadlock is a situation in which One transaction is waiting for a other transaction to release that resource which is held by the another transaction. So this situation is known as the deadlock. As I told you the analogy, that is traffic jam at a circle, that is the perfect example for the deadlock. That's why I told you, only remember the example, you are able to solve entire theory. This is the deadlock, and deadlock condition arise only if all these four conditions are true together. First, mutual exclusion. And can anyone tell me second? Can anyone tell me what was the second condition to occur the deadlock?
Hold and wait.
Yes, very good, Misal. Next condition. Yes, no preemption. Good. And then the remains. And fourth, last one.
Circular wait.
Yes, very good. Nice. This thing I am expecting. If you are giving your opinion through mic, that is the two-way communication, and that's interesting. But otherwise, you can give the chat if your mic is not working in that case. But in both cases, only 5 to 6 students are giving the answer. That is very bad thing for you. Mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemption, and circular wait. If these four conditions are true together at a time, then definitely there is a deadlock. If we are able to correct any one condition out of these four, then we can stop the deadlock. That is deadlock recovery also, we can say. Now deadlock detection. Can anyone tell me how we can detect the deadlock? Whether deadlock is there or not, how we can, simple method, how we can check there is a deadlock or not? એટલા જ માટે મેં તમને બેઝ ક્લિયર કરાવ્યો હતો કે ટ્રાફિક સિગ્નલમાં ટ્રાફિક જામ થઈ જાય તો કઈ રીતે આખી સિચ્યુએશન એ સિનારીઓ તમે હેન્ડલ કરો. બેઝડ ઓન ધેટ સિનારીઓ યુ આર એબલ ટુ give the answer of all the question. Deadlock એટલે શું? Deadlock prevention means શું? Deadlock detection, deadlock recovery, all the topics are based on that small example, based on that small analogy. Can anyone tell me how we can detect the deadlock? There is a deadlock or not? Yes. Check for cycle in the resource allocation graph. If there is a cycle, then there should be definitely deadlock. Good. One more thing I want to inform you, based on your this behavior, એટલે જે તમે reply and then, so I think I should take some appropriate action to check whether you are able to give the answer or not. For that we can arrange anything like test, question answer, and presentation. So based on the time, we will go for it. Right now, let's continue. That is known as the wait for graph, and based on that graph, we are able to identify there is a deadlock or not. Here you can see there is the node directed circular path. So here it is no deadlock, and in this second scenario, we have a directed circular path from B to D, D to C, and C to D. It means it has a cycle. Cycle indicates the deadlock, so we can detect the deadlock. This is the simple technique. Now deadlock recovery. How we can recover the deadlock? How we can recover the deadlock? Simple answer: rollbacking any of transaction. Simple example of this: taking a back any one of the one of car in that side, we can take it back or roll back, and then other can move, and then we can solve the deadlock. So for that we need to choose the victim. How we can select the victim? It is based which has a minimum loss. If we are rolling back that transaction and that transaction get the minimum loss, then that is known as the victim. Based on that victim, we need to check the criteria also. First criteria, which has a minimum loss, has a executed less work, and which is very far from completion. So these criteria are preferable to roll back any transaction. Now deadlock prevention. This one is the very most IMP topic. Should be present mentally. How we can prevent the deadlock? There are mainly two methods: weight die and wound weight approach for the deadlock prevention. So let's see one by one. First method is the weight die approach. In this approach, if any older transaction is requesting a resource, if any older transaction is requesting a resource which is held by younger one, then older transaction waits, because in a wait die approach, older requesting a resource to younger one, and older one is waits. And reverse thing, if any younger transaction is requesting a resource which is held by older transaction, then younger transaction is killed and rolled back. This is the two scenario. If older transaction is requesting and younger transaction is holding that resource, then older transaction has to wait. Older transaction को wait करना पड़ेगा. And if younger transaction is requesting a resource which is held by the older one, then younger transaction will not wait. It will be killed or rolled back. Younger transaction will not wait. It will be killed and rolled back. This is the approach of wait die approach. So this is the summary. O for older one, Y for younger one. O needs a resource held by Y, then O waits. Y needs a resource held by O, Y dies. That's why wait and die. Wait and die approach. This is known as wait and die approach. Next is the wound wait approach. If any older transaction is requesting a resource which is held by the younger one, then older transaction forces younger transaction to kill the transaction and release the resource. In the previous one, wait die, older one waits, but here in a wound wait, older one transaction forces the younger transaction को kill या फिर release the resource के लिए force करेगा. If younger transaction is requesting a resource, then and which is held by the older one, then younger transaction waits till older transaction release the resource. In a wait die, older one waits and younger one dies. In wound wait, older one kills the younger one or dies, and younger one weights for the resources. So this is the summary. In a bound weight, holder needs a resource which is held by the Y. So Y kills or dies. Y needs a resource held by older one, then Y waits. So this is the approach of bound weight approaches. Next is the time out based approaches. So as name suggests its meaning based on the time based. So transaction waits for a lock only for a specified amount of time. After the transaction will be rolled back. Transaction waits based on the time. If time outs, then transaction is rolled back. So deadlock never occurs. This is the theory of time-based approaches. By these three things, we can prevent the deadlock. This is the end of this transaction unit. If you have any question and query, then you can ask. Otherwise, I have a question. So in a deadlock prevention, you need to remember mainly two things. First, weight die approach and bound weight approach. And third one is the time-based approach. Okay, now I have a question. Let's quickly revise this unit and let me ask a few questions from this either in terms of MCQ or maybe in terms of short question for the offline exam, because in offline exam also you have a 10 MCQ and 10 short question. In that this type of question may ask. So first question, uh, in acid properties, what is the meaning of A? A stands for A stands for you can type your answer into a chat or you can give your answer through mic also. So guys, this is important because this type of short question may ask in 1 month in any exam. Okay, atomicity. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by the atomicity? In a short, what do you mean by atomicity? Can anyone? Either perform 0% or 100%. Okay. Yes, transaction is complete or not executed, uh, all the transaction or none of this. Okay. Now C stand for okay consistency. I for D for okay. Next question, list out states of transaction. Yeah, transaction life cycle, we have different states. So you need to list out all the transaction states. You can also give the answer through the mic. Just list out the states of transaction. Whenever this type of question will be asked, we need to only note it down the names. No need to explain. Whenever it says list out the relational algebra operator, it means you need to write the names only. Sanskar, we have lots of states. We need to add more things. All of you need to give the answer. Umang, you need to check your answer. That is partially correct, not fully. Yes, most of answers are the correct. We have a active state. This is the initial state in which transaction remains in this state while it is in execution. Then we have a partial committed, not a partial terminated. Okay, Umar? You need to correct it. Partial committed, where where a transaction actually entering its last operation. And failed state, due to any errors, execution cannot be performed furthermore. Then after committed state, where a transaction has completed its old operation and changes to the database are reflected. And aborted state, uh, transaction has been rolled back and the database has been restored to the initial state of the transaction. And last one, that is the end, or you can say the terminate, end of that transaction. Okay, good. Now, this is the method by which we can revise all the topics. First, I will ask a question, and then after we will discuss that answer also. Now, tell me, what do you mean by the serial schedule? You can also give your answer through the mic, because I know uh, one statement or more than two line, it is difficult to write, so you can give the answer to me. What do you mean by this serial schedule? In this serial schedule, no transaction start until the active transaction is complete or commit. So one after one in a sequence. If we are executing the transactions, then it is known as the serial schedule. Non-serial schedule or interleaved schedule, it means another transaction interfering during the execution of different transaction. That is the interleaved or non-serial schedule. Then after we have seen the serializability. In that there are mainly two types of serializability: conflict serializability and view serializability. This is the very most important topic. So there are mainly four conditions for the conflict serializability. Okay, let me say this. Yes, for conflict serializability, we have a four condition. First, if we are performing the read operation on a data item T, then it will never conflict. If any read operations are going on a same data item, then it will never conflict. Then one operation is read and one operation is write on a same data item, then it will conflict. It will always conflict. Similar way, one operation is write, it means either operation O1 transaction perform the write operation or O2 transaction perform the read operation. And both are the right operation, then it is definitely conflict. In short, if one operation is write operation and data item is same, then it is definitely conflicting. One operation is write operation and data item is same. So operation O1 and O2 conflict if there exists at least one of these operation, O1 or O2 wrote T, it means same data item, then it will always conflict. This is the conflict serializability. And we have seen the example conflict equivalent and then view serializability. For the view serializability, three conditions you need to remember, that is initial read, updated read, and final write. In the initial read, whatever transaction T1 reads the initial value in a data item T by schedule R1, same thing must be repeat in a R2 schedule, and it is initial read. So here you can say that R1 and R2 are not view equivalent, because in R1 T1 read the value, in R2 T1 write the value. But in R1 and R3 both are view equivalent, because T1 read the value and R3 read the in R3 T1 also read the value. Initial read बेमा same થાય છે, that is initial read. Updated read, the same thing. In R1 and R2, R1 transaction T1 executes the read operation which is produced by the transaction T2. Then same thing should be repeat in a R2 schedule. Then it is the updated read. Next, final write, it means R1 ની અંદર જે final write કરે એ જ વસ્તુ R2 ની અંદર final write થવું છે, then it is the final write. Then we can say that it is a view serializability. Then recoverability, it means if transaction gets failure, then in a concurrent parallel transaction we should recover that thing. So for that, cascading rollback and cascadeless rollback. It means in a cascading rollback, if single transaction fails, then series of transactions should be rolled back. If T10 is fails, then we should roll back the T11 and T12, because based on T12, T10, T11 and T12 are dependent, because initially T10 read the A and write the A. If it changes the write A, then it should be reflected in a next transaction T11 and T12. Then cascadeless schedule, cascading rollback cannot be occur in cascadeless schedule. That is, then we have seen the testing for serializability. For that, we have go for the directed graph, there is a cycle, then it is definitely you can say that deadlock. But in a precedence graph, if that is a acyclic, then we can say that conflict serializable. Next important, that is two-phase commit protocol. In that two-phase commit, we have a two-phase. First one is the prepare phase, and second one is the commit phase. Prepare phase for the requesting or preparing to commit transaction, and then once in a prepare phase, we coordinator. Here it is the coordinator. First coordinator request to prepare or commit request to all participant or all cohorts. If coordinator receives the prepared signal, we are ready from all cohorts, then coordinator will send the commit or abort operation to all participants to all cohorts. Then coordinator informed to do the commit, and after that all the participants will react and acknowledge according to that commit. We are committing. If coordinator sends the abort statement, it means one of the all participant will not acknowledge, I am not ready. It means एक participant ready statement or prepared statement deny करे है. It means the cohorts will wait for few minutes. After that coordinator will wait for few minutes. After that coordinator will send the abort message. Right now we are not going to commit. So this is the prepare phase and commit phase. Next, we have seen the database recovery. Whenever we have a disk failure, DBMS crash, OS failure, or any power failure, we should recover the database because disk failure, DBMS crash, any one operation out of this all reason, it leads to the database inconsistency, or we can lose the data, which is not allowed. So we need to recover the data. For that we have a log-based recovery. In log-based recovery, we have a two types: immediate and deferred. Immediate, it means whenever changes to the database are executed immediately without commit command. अगर हम कमिट कमांड नहीं देते फिर भी वो इमीडिएटली डेटाबेस में रिफ्लेक्ट कर देता है. in a default database it will executed only after the commit command is executed. Changes whatever we have changed in a database, it will be reflected after only the commit command. That is the default database. Then after checkpoints, and I gave the example of game. So every time need not to roll back from the initial state. We can roll back from the checkpoint. And shadow paging, it means copy the one page and we can recover the everything. The current page table માંથી new page table માં આપણે કોપી કરી લીધી અને કદાચ ફેલ થાય તો shadow page માં ઓરિજિનલ કોપી આપણી પોઈન્ટ્સ કરે જ છે, તો shadow page table ની મદદથી આપણે recover કરી શકીએ. So we can recover the database from the shadow page. Then after we have seen the concurrency control. It means if we have a multiple transaction, parallel transaction, they may lead to this problem: lost update, dirty read, and incorrect retrieval. And to avoid that thing, we have seen the types of lock: exclusive mode, read and write both, and shared mode. It means we can read only. And we have seen the lock compatibility matrix. Based on that lock compatibility matrix, we have a lock-based two-phase locking protocol. Deadlock, already we have seen that thing. Starvation, if in a concurrency control, one transaction should wait forever, then it leads to the starvation. Two-phase locking protocol, growing phase and shrinking phase. In a growing phase, we can obtain only lock. In a shrinking phase, we can release only the lock. Yes, in that we have two types: strict two-phase locking protocol and rigorous two-phase locking protocol. In a strict two-phase locking protocol, we may release only the said lock after the lock point, but we cannot release the any exclusive lock. In a rigorous, ट्रांजेक्शन इज नॉट अलाउड टू रिलीज एनी लॉक अंटिल इट कमिट्स। जब तक कमिट नहीं हो तब तक आइदर सेल्ड और एक्सक्लूसिव एक भी लॉक हम नहीं कर सकते। मल्टीपल ग्रेन्युलरिटी, इट लुक्स लाइक अ ट्री स्ट्रक्चर। इफ पेरेंट नोड इज लॉक, देन बाय डिफॉल्ट ऑटोमेटिकली चाइल्ड gets the lock. To implement the locking system, we have to maintain the lock table कि इस रिसोर्स के ऊपर किस कौन से ट्रांजेक्शन ने लॉक लगाया है, एंड इट विल कीप ऑल द रिकॉर्ड्स। And we have seen the more modes: intention set lock, intention exclusive, and said intention lock. Then after timestamp based protocol, according to timestamp, it has to wait. And we have seen the deadlock, which one transaction is waiting for another transaction. These four conditions already, this thing we have revised in today's lecture. So this is the end of this unit. From next lecture we will start the next unit. If you have any query, then you can ask.